Welcome to the Natural Health Show with one of New England's leading holistic specialists, Mark Mincola. Call Mark at 617-822-1969 on 96.9 Boston Talks.
Welcome home, Natural Health Nation. Great to have everybody on board with us today in this superbly gorgeous summer Sunday. And how fitting we're talking with you about a very interesting topic that seems to kind of come back and forth and weave in and out of our program each and every Sunday, it seems. We talk an awful lot about your various health questions regarding your health issues, and so many folks with virtually every kind of symptom imaginable, migraine headaches, various inflammatory aches and pains, etc., etc. And it seems that one of the constants here on the show is we always talk to folks about the potential for food allergies. Food allergies, of course, so often at the root of so many of these aches and pains and maladies that strike us. And lo and behold, a 23-year-old ongoing study that just unfolded recently, 23-year ongoing study has noted that 95% of the American population has a type 2 allergic reaction to at least one type of food. 95%. Symptoms are usually mild and are difficult to associate with allergies, type 2 type diseases. But foods break down at different rates in the body, of course, and they're finding more and more that the manner in which that food breaks down in your body really may have an awful lot to say about what ails you. And we're going to talk with two experts. We've had them on the show before. Veronica Kent, Michelle Clark from Allergy Medical Labs, of course, our great sponsors and friends for since beginning of the program. And we, of course, had them in not too long ago, about 6 months ago or so. And the board lit up with your great questions, and you're going to be able to ask your questions to them again this evening. And they're here in studio in just a few moments. You'll be able to ask your questions. And interested questions can, of course, find their way here to the Natural Health Show by contacting 617-822-1969. Verizon Wireless users, it's a free call. Just dial pound 969. And again, we're talking with you this evening about whatever ails you regarding natural medicine. We're talking about your questions from a natural medicine perspective, from a prevention perspective this evening especially, because we're really talking about the preventive power of food allergy testing and food allergy alerts, food allergy awareness, and that's really, I think, what we're all about this evening. And again, we're bringing in experts to chat with you about what their findings are, what their work is all about, and how they may be able to help you by arriving at solutions that you may not know are directly related to what you are eating. Again, in Boston and New England, 617-822-1969. Verizon Wireless users, free call, pound 969. And, of course, we talk about food allergies quite often here on this program, and there are different types of food allergies. We talked about type 2 just a minute ago in that 23-year ongoing study. But a food allergy develops when your immune system, by means of an odd mixture of immune cells, antibodies, and chemical mediators, reacts in an attempt to reject a food from your diet. And the body's basically inflammatorily rebelling against whatever it is that you're eating. And it happens quite often, folks. It happens on a daily basis, again, for a vast majority of us. And, we're talking about food allergies really kind of revolutionizing the whole concept of how we think about medicine, because there are two, for all intents and purposes, there are two primary forms of medicine. There's intervention. Obviously that's the predominant form of medicine being practiced in this country today. But there is also prevention. And we're hearing more and more and more about prevention, the power of prevention, and the real important emphasis to me when we're talking about preventive medicine is to think about how many biochemical changes you go through on an ongoing day-to-day basis with what you eat. And not all those biochemical changes are favorable ones. So to a great extent, we're talking about 80 to 90 million people with IgG inflammations from foods. Immune globulin G, of course, is one of those type of food allergy responses. We're going to talk with Ronnie and with Michelle about those in just a few minutes. But again, I think the idea here is we're becoming more and more aware of the fact that food allergies play a significant role in much of what ails us. Depression, anxiety, food allergy related in many, many cases. I've seen a great deal of that. I've had people over the years who, when they simply cut out wheat, were able to overcome very serious issues of depression, for example. So we see some remarkable connections between the inflammatory conditions that people have unfortunately learned to live with in many cases, or been frustrated with trying to find solutions for, when in fact it was more a matter of identifying with a food that may have been the chemical trigger of that problem. And once again, I think there are solutions, as you're going to hear about this evening. There are ways to rotate the diet so that you don't have to perhaps miss out on these potentially inflammatory foods that you may enjoy. There's a lot of different strategies, a lot of different ways to work around that, and we're going to talk with two experts from Allergy Medical Labs about those realities. Once again, phone numbers in Boston and New England, 617-822-1969. Verizon Wireless users, free call pound and 969, and we'll be back with Veronica Kent and Michelle Clark from Allergy Medical Labs to talk with you about food allergies. Stay tuned.
So, what's new for insiders?
Get physically fit with Polar Beverages and win a private lunch with Jim Browdy.
Plug in, boot up, log on, online, on demand, 96.9 BostonTalks.com.
Hi, this is Laura from Good Health. We all know that excessive unprotected sun exposure can lead to premature aging of the skin. This means more wrinkles, sunspots, and fine lines. More than 2 million Americans in the U.S. will be diagnosed with skin cancer this year alone. The good news is, astaxanthin and new oral supplements made from fern may potentially guard against UV skin damage. Our holistic skincare products from Derma E, Andalou, and My Shell contain plant extracts and potent antioxidants like astaxanthin and pycnogenol to block free radicals and reduce cell damage caused from excessive sun. Remember, for complete protection in the garden, on the golf course, beach, or boat, you can protect your skin against premature aging and skin cancer. Visit Good Health in Quincy and Hanover for clean, organic skincare, sunscreens, and supplements. Learn more about all our healing products at goodhealthnaturalfood.com. Be smart, enjoy your summer sun safely, and thanks for listening.
The brain requires nutrition just like the rest of the body. Although many of us depend upon caffeine for focus and concentration, caffeine is not actually a nutrient. Real nutrition is needed to enhance brain metabolism and provide antioxidant protection. This is where Jarrow Formula's Neuro-Optimizer comes to the rescue. Neuro-Optimizer is a concentrated source of the nutrients needed for memory and mood, for concentration and focus, all without being a stimulant. Neuro-Optimizer supplies the building blocks for neurotransmitters, the chemicals that allow cells in the brain to communicate and to file away memories. Acetyl L-carnitine and alpha-lipoic acid support brain energy production. Phosphatidylserine, L-glutamine, and taurine enhance brain stability and detoxification in the face of stress. Neuro-Optimizer is the nutritional answer to the brain's needs. Ask for Neuro-Optimizer at your local health food store, or for more information, go to jarrow.com. That's Jarrow for the best in brain health formulas.
Make plans now for a day with Joan Borisenko. Hear Joan Borisenko Sunday, August 7th at the John F. Kennedy Middle School in Waltham. Joan Borisenko is acknowledged as one of the world's greatest leaders and distinguished pioneer in integrative medicine and the mind-body connection. Joan Borisenko's groundbreaking book, Minding the Body, Mending the Mind, revolutionized our awareness of the mind-body connection a few years back. Now, Joan's new book, Fried, Why You Burn Out and How to Thrive, is here. Joan will share up-to-the-minute spiritual inspiration coming from her own process in a unique presentation, Reviving Your Life, with a book signing to follow. Register for Joan Borisenko on myhealthylivingmag.com. General admission is just $39. Program begins at 2 p.m. Call 781-834-2728 for tickets. That's 781-834-2728. This is your chance to see Joan Borisenko live Sunday, August 7th at the John F. Kennedy Middle School in Waltham. Register at myhealthylivingmag.com. Come learn how to revive your own life energy.
Now back to the Natural Health Show, sponsored by Good Health Natural Foods in Quincy and Hanover.
In Boston and New England, 617-822-1969. Verizon Wireless users, free call pound 969. Now, as promised, we've got Veronica
Hi, Mark.
Kent, how are you? We got to probably get you a little bit closer to that mic. And
Hello.
there we go. And we've got Michelle Clark right beside you.
Hi, Mark.
How are you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. How's life at Allergy Medical Labs?
Life is busy at Allergy Medical
I'll bet it
Labs.
is. There's no shortage of food allergy issues in the world these days. So tell us a little bit about what typically you see when it comes to food allergies. You see a lot of referrals from physicians and a lot of folks with very serious health issues in some cases, a variety of different health issues, and a lot of physicians sending their patients in to screen for food intolerances, yes?
Yes.
Well, tell us a little bit about what goes on when someone gets in there.
So what we do is we're testing the blood that's drawn from the patient and measuring to see if they are building antibodies to different foods. And there are different types of responses that we're looking at. We're looking at acute allergic response, IgE mediated, but that is a small percentage of the population. So people will be having symptoms, but they don't have that IgE response. They're having IgG, which you brought up the study earlier about, which was really interesting, that 95% of people actually have that. So they're having an immune response to foods, but it's not a true allergy, and they're having all these symptoms, and they don't know why.
So when they come in and they're tested, they get to the bottom of what could be problematic for a number of different symptoms, or contributing to a number of different symptoms. And when you have somebody that you're testing, tell us about the procedure itself.
So primarily what we're having our patients do is they go through an ordering physician, and based on the patient's both medical history as well as symptom history, the doctor will then determine which test would be most appropriate for the patient. At that point, as Veronica had said, a sample of blood is drawn from the patient, and then it is shipped to our laboratory for evaluation. What we're measuring not only is for foods, but also inhaled allergens, such as weeds, grasses, trees.
Especially this time of year.
It has been tremendous, especially we had a huge allergy season in the spring with this overload of pollen, which also affects foods as well with regard to people's immune systems.
Now, do you see more mold allergies of late than you've seen in recent years? It seems like so many people are coming up with, I see so many patients coming in with an existing diagnosis of mold allergies. It seems like the mold allergies seem to be going haywire these days.
Well, mold allergy is significant year-round, and not only are we seeing allergic response, but also exposure to molds, and they can be found in many, many places, which people don't necessarily know. For example, just in your own wood pile at home, people don't necessarily think that there's mold growing there, or in your home, if you have plants, for example, the soil in the plant can have mold on them. In your refrigerators, foods necessarily can have mold growing on them. So yes, Mark, there is such a significant rise in mold sensitivity as well as allergy.
And mold really does place an incredible immune burden on the body. And a lot of folks with these mold sensitivities have a multiplicity of other symptoms associated with that mold problem. So there's a lot of that going on. Hey, let's get to a call here. We've got Michael on the line from Plymouth. Welcome to 96.9 Boston Talk Show and the Natural Health Show.
Hi, I have a question.
Sure.
I have lactose intolerance problems digesting milk products. I'm not sure if it's quite from an allergy or what. I don't know really what's going on. Can you give me some advice on how to handle, maybe through supplements or something like that, how I can calm my stomach down and not have this problem anymore?
Sure. Let's hear what Michelle says.
Hi, Michael. Thank you for the question. Well, you had mentioned milk intolerance. Now, there's a thing with regard to milk as far as a digestive sugar that is lacking within your digestive system, which is then unable to process that milk protein. The thing is that people sometimes get confused with is the allergy umbrella term versus immediate response, where let's say you drank milk and then within the next hour or so you have vomiting or diarrhea. In your case, it's digestive. So with regard to this intolerance, we would recommend avoidance of any dairy product. And then if you do consume it for whatever reason, Hopefully it would be in a small amount. You may have some sort of reaction, but just be aware by reading labels and just knowing that if you do have that small bit of ice cream, and especially this time of year where you're probably craving a nice, great ice cream, just to be careful as far as how much of it you do consume.
Yeah, the other thing that I might suggest too here is that there are alternatives to dairy. Now, more than ever, it seems that you take something like ice cream that you just mentioned. There's an awful lot of, you go to the health food store now and you see coconut ice cream, rice ice cream, soy-based ice cream. So, I mean, you've never had so many viable alternative options these days. So there's literally all kinds of, there's an option for almond milk. There's rice milk. There's so many different options. But I think it kind of comes back to, what our topic is this evening. Chances are better than good. You folks can correct me if I'm wrong. But my sense is chances are better than good that if you do have a lactose intolerance, you probably have some other food intolerances as well, yes?
More than likely.
More than likely. So, we want to make sure that if we steer you away from dairy because there may be a problem and intolerance there, and then steer you into something like almond milk as a substitute, you want to make sure that you're not sensitive to almonds as well.
Right. Well, the weather's getting warmer and it's becoming more of a serious issue.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Michael, I'd also recommend that you consider, now that you are staying away from cow's milk, is also rotating these different substitutions, for example, that Mark had mentioned, soy milk, almond milk, rice milk, so that you're not necessarily beginning to build antibodies to these other choices that you now may be consuming. So with regard to diet in overall, we would recommend that you rotate your foods so that you don't have those kinds of symptoms that you have been having. And another recommendation might be to be tested for food sensitivity. So let's look not only that you may have a milk sensitivity as well as an intolerance, but you may have other things that you have sensitivities to that will help with your digestion once we remove them and make recommendations for you.
Very interesting. Very interesting. I wasn't quite sure how to handle it, but you've answered my question really well. I appreciate your time.
Terrific. Thanks for calling.
Thank you, Michael.
You. All right.
Bye now.
And
Bye-bye.
one thing, can I add one thing, Mark?
Sure.
We do the larger panels, 96 or 184 foods, and the idea is, yes, to see what you've reacted to, but be able to give you enough options so that you're not having like the almond milk.
Well, and talk a little bit about that. You folks actually at Allotest take the time not only to identify what's going on with regard to food allergies. You test almost 100 foods, as you just point, 96 foods, but you also provide folks with a rotation booklet. Now, talk about that booklet a little bit.
Which is, I think it's fantastic.
I do too. I think you're right on about that.
Yeah, and we have great information in the booklet. It has education. It is 4-day rotation, but the best part of it is we provide people with a shopping list. So we're not saying, here's what you can't have. We're saying, look at all of these new options that you can have, hoping that that will help people to comply and want to try it.
So for folks that are interested in getting food allergy testing and ending up with this remarkably helpful booklet that you're talking about, why don't you give folks contact info?
They can call our laboratory at 800-225-5404 or go onto our website, which is foodallergy.com.
Now, how did you guys end up lucking out like that? That's a great website.
That's Michelle.
Michelle, that is great stuff. www.foodallergy.com. That is good stuff. So, folks, you can get in touch with them. And, it doesn't hurt sometimes. I always bring up the point that folks should sit down, and have a powwow with their family physician from time to time and just have a good dialogue about what might be best for you and for your family. And, preventive medicine is now growing more than ever in leaps and bounds. And folks are really trying to get new strategies aligned that help them to prevent problems. Why wait until disease manifests? Why wait until something is really advancing and inflaming to the point of severity? We don't have to wait that long. I think the idea of sitting down and saying, look, let's find out if these foods on my plate are in any way, shape, or form playing a chemical role in disturbing my immune system. And I think that's really key to this stuff. Let's go to this call. We've got Deb from Cohasset. Welcome to 96.9 Boston Talk here on the Natural Health Show.
Hi, Mark. Thank you for taking my call.
Pleasure.
I had a question. Are you familiar with M-spike protein mucus?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. You're so bright. I thought you would be. It's a 52-year-old female relative of mine, and previously diagnosed with fibromyalgia.
Yep.
And I'm just wondering. I'm seeing different things about connective tissue disorder,
right.
That sort of thing that
Yep.
perhaps might be, an indicator or something like that.
Yep.
I'm just, any feedback you could give me, anything that, because we're going to be going to a hematologist, et cetera, but just trying to get some, insight from you.
Well, from that perspective, I think I'm going to come back around and talk about food allergy testing in a little bit about regarding this particular thing. Well, because we're talking about, the body's functioning at an enzyme level.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's really important to make sure that we understand that enzymes are anti-inflammatory mediators.
Okay.
And we're talking about, in this particular case, we're talking about probably being really cautious about kidney function.
Okay.
And I would suggest that kidney enzymes be tested because obviously if there's any kind of spike in protein like this, and there's going to be an ensuing problem with nitrogen deamination as well. So the kidneys always end up with whatever proteins aren't being broken down. So, I think that's really an important thing. I also think probably having probably some inflammatory blood testing done as well.
What would you suggest for that, if I can ask?
I think that we probably could have a homocysteine, among other things, a C-reactive protein. I think somewhere in those directions are probably not a bad idea. I used to always like the SMAC 25s, which a lot of physicians don't even run anymore, but the SMAC or ChemScan 27s, because there's a full profile on there where we're really doing not just your basic lipids and electrolytes, but you're also actually running a lot of your anti-inflammatory issues there as well. So you're going to look at kidney enzymes, you're going to look at liver enzymes. Any inflammation in those enzymes are going to kind of lead you in a direction. So I think in terms of checking the kidneys for inflammation, which I think is an important thing when you get a spike in protein like that, to just run a SMAC 25 or ChemScan 27, because it's a real good dragnet to just kind of throw over the whole thing, and it's going to lead you in a given direction. So I think it's probably a good way to go.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for calling. And again, our telephone numbers in Boston and New England, 617-822-1969. Verizon wireless users, free call pound 969. We're talking with two experts from Alitas Medical Labs in Rockland, Mass. And we're listening to some really interesting information about the inner workings of food allergy testing and what it all really means. And back to that particular question, spikes in proteins, I think, people need to really appreciate that what we do from the fork to the mouth every day probably affects our chemistry in a broad scale more than virtually anything that we could ever do in our lives. I think that we're starting to appreciate the power of food, good and bad, and the potential for creating all kinds of havoc that can be prevented. And I think food allergy testing is a key to that whole process.
Well, that's interesting, Mark, because the constitution of our whole body is almost like a jigsaw puzzle, and we are just one part of this puzzle. So what we're doing with regard to the foods that we consume, the lifestyle we live, our environment, this all contributes to chronic disease and illnesses. So what we want to do basically is educate physicians, patients throughout the country so that they are understanding what is going on with our environment so they can get in tune to feel better and to live a healthier lifestyle.
And again, if physicians listening out there might be interested in learning a little bit more, they can go right to your website, which is
www.foodallergy.com.
You gotta love that. That's good stuff.
We like it.
No, and I think that what you say is absolutely correct. And I think that it's really core these days to not assume. Our food has been so modified,
right?
And just to assume that when somebody is eating even what we've often kind of thought of as a healthy diet, that they're eating all their fruits and veggies. We know that's important, of course, but who's to say that whatever fruit or veggies you're eating couldn't be problematic, and even seriously so? Folks are aware of food allergy from the perspective of anaphylactic peanuts. That if they eat peanuts, they rush to the ER, they got to get the EpiPen out and all that business. And I think that's sort of indicative of how bad it can get with virtually any food these days. And that we need to really kind of, I think, respect the fact that food has this power to really make that kind of difference in our day-to-day well-being. And clearly, there's an awful lot of people that you folks see and that I see that have really been pretty beaten up by the wrong foods. And in many cases, they've been healthy foods.
Well, that's right. I'm sure you're aware of the China study,
sure,
in which they did a study of about 6,500 patients, people in China, who are consuming primarily animal protein, beef, dairy, milk, poultry, and they removed that from their diet, gave them what we call a leafy vegetable, vegan kind of diet, to find out by removing those foods, those animal proteins from these their diets, we saw that these people were getting better overall with regard to chronic disease, such as some of the cancers, obesity, diabetes. Many things can contribute to chronic illness, and food proteins, in this case for animal protein, was significant with regard to this particular study, and just proves what happens to people.
She is Michelle Clark. She is from Allergy Medical Labs, and she's alongside Veronica Kent from Allergy Medical Labs. And you're listening to The Natural Health Show, and we will be right back.
Feed your addiction. Radio that revolves around your schedule. Online and on demand. 96.9 BostonTalks.com.
When most people hear the word allergies, they think only of hay fever-like symptoms associated with airborne pollen, dust, and mold. But did you know that many experts estimate that between 60 and 80 million of us suffer from immune-related food allergies without even knowing it? Furthermore, food allergies often contribute to serious health problems such as autism, irritable bowel syndrome, ADD, headaches, and chronic ear infections. Now, there's an effective way to identify and eliminate both your food allergies and the troubling symptoms that they aggravate. Allergy Medical Labs at foodallergy.com offers a full complement of clinical, environmental, and food allergy testing to help you get to the root of your allergy problems. Allergy also provides you with a comprehensive rotation diet, lifestyle booklet, and a wallet card to help you live food allergy-free and stress-free. Do you wonder if you or your loved ones are among the 60 to 80 million food allergy sufferers in America? If so, log on to Allergy Medical Labs, foodallergy.com. Talk to your doctor about ordering a food allergy test from Allergy Medical Labs today. Foodallergy.com. Make sure the food you're eating isn't what's depleting you.
Make plans now for a day with Joan Borisenko. Hear Joan Borisenko Sunday, August 7th at the John F. Kennedy Middle School in Waltham. Joan Borisenko is acknowledged as one of the world's greatest leaders and distinguished pioneer in integrative medicine and the mind-body connection. Joan Borisenko's groundbreaking book, Minding the Body, Mending the Mind, revolutionized our awareness of the mind-body connection a few years back. Now, Joan's new book, Fried, Why You Burn Out and How to Thrive, is here. Joan will share up-to-the-minute spiritual inspiration coming from her own process in a unique presentation, Reviving Your Life, with a book signing to follow. Register for Joan Borisenko on myhealthylivingmag.com. General admission is just $39. Program begins at 2 p.m. Call 781-834-2728 for tickets. That's 781-834-2728. This is your chance to see Joan Borisenko live Sunday, August 7th at the John F. Kennedy Middle School in Waltham. Register at myhealthylivingmag.com. Come learn how to revive your own life energy.
Do you own or manage a natural health, fitness, day spa, or go green business? Perhaps you have a unique restaurant that offers healthy entrees, heart-smart seafood, vegetarian or lighter fare options. I invite you to share your vision and deliver your message directly to health-conscious New Englanders by becoming a sponsor of the Natural Health Show, New England's #1 health radio show. The Natural Health Show is now welcoming potential sponsors to join our natural health family by offering a number of creative and flexible sponsorship packages. For information on how to become a sponsor of the Natural Health Show, simply call Candida at 781-834-2728. That's 781-834-2728. Be a part of New England's natural health revolution. Join our Natural Health Show family today.
Now, back to the Natural Health Show, sponsored by Good Health Natural Foods in Quincy and Hanover.
In Boston and New England, 617-822-1969. Verizon Wireless users, free call, pound 96.9. And, of course, we're here with the experts on food allergies. So some remarkable information that really people need to tap into. We've got a great call here from Whitman. Chris from Whitman, welcome to 96.9 Boston Talks. You're in the Natural Health Show.
How you doing, Mike?
Terrific. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. This past springtime, I actually recently developed a seasonal allergy. 36 years old. I've never had it before in my life, and it seems like this past spring was absolutely brutal for me. What I was calling about is to see if there's something that I can do to prevent this, or...
Yeah, well, let's go to Michelle, and Michelle Clark is online here with you. Let's help this gentleman out here.
Well, thanks for the call. Actually, you've never had an allergy before, yet you developed it this spring. Well, as you had heard, we had a difficult seasonal spring with lots and lots of pollen, and in your case, you were suffering with that. So we could look at it in two different ways. Number one, we could obviously get you tested to see exactly what was causing this allergic response, to then determine which is the best treatment to go with, whether if you want to do immunotherapy with allergy shots, or sublingual immunotherapy where you desensitize with drops underneath the tongue. But we also could do a natural remedy where if you had this congestion all the time, scratchy throat, these are typical symptoms, watery eyes, you may just want to take a pot of boiling water and throw some essential oils such as eucalyptus, myrtle, rosemary, some tea tree in there, put a towel over your head and just smell that and have that just cleanse out your nasal passages. And it's just a very, very simple, inexpensive way for treating.
Yeah, I have a suggestion too as well, Chris. Quercetin, 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 a terrific bioflavonoid that's real great for the immune system, specifically for allergies. I'd recommend 500 milligrams of quercetin, 3 a day on an empty stomach. So breakfast, lunch, dinner on an empty stomach, probably before those meals would be a good way to go.
And to complement that, Mark, would bromelain and vitamin C with that quercetin would also be a good natural antihistamine with that.
Yes, indeed. Good idea. I think the protease is really supportive. So you can get simple 500 milligram bromelains, or even the chewable bromelain from the health food store. Michelle brings up a great point. Vitamin C is actually a really important natural antihistamine as well. So to take maybe 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C, to take a 500 milligram bromelain twice a day on an empty stomach, and then 500 milligrams of quercetin 3 times a day on an empty stomach, and those can be taken together. You're not going to really pick up any kind of contraindications or side effects with those either. Pretty safe and pretty easy to use.
One thing, though, he should be aware is he should speak with his doctor with regard to any kind of reaction he may have if he's taking any kind of thyroid medication or antidepressants with quercetin or those other ones I've mentioned.
All right,
Chris.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for calling.
You've been very helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Now, Mark, have you heard of butterbeer?
Butterbeer, yes, of course. Butterbeer.
The British Medical Journal actually just came out with a study that 1 tablet of butterbeer 4 times a day is as effective as most popular antihistamines.
Yeah, no, butterbeer is amazing. It's in fact, Good Health Natural Foods can't keep the stuff on the shelves. Okay. So, no, butterbeer is very, very helpful for those allergies as well. Good advice. Now, that was a question about an inhalant allergy. We haven't talked much about those. Tell us about those a little bit.
Well, inhaled allergies seem to be much more prevalent to people. However, all of a sudden we've been hearing this, the spike in food allergies. Well, it's a combination of both primarily. So what we would recommend is if they are having some sort of inhaled allergy, whether it's to trees or grasses, which we're now seeing weeds coming up, you also need to be considering foods as well. And there can be a cross-reaction between certain inhaled allergens as well as foods. An example would be possibly with ragweed, which has similar proteins with melon and milk. So if someone has a ragweed allergy, such as myself, which I'll run into come the end of August into September, and I'm consuming milk or any dairy, as well as eating melons, honeydew, all these great melons that are now in season, it's going to heighten my reaction to this ragweed. So I have to be aware in let myself, know that, okay, I should not be having that ice cream that previous caller had if you have, for example, a ragweed allergy. And at Allotest, we do provide a listing of these cross-reacting inhalants as well as foods, if that would be helpful to your audience.
That'd be great. That'd be great stuff. I think that, when folks know, for example, that they have one sensitivity, it's really extra helpful to know that there are crossovers as well that come into play here. So that's good. And when you talk about those crossovers, might it be the case with the gentleman that called, Chris, that called in earlier?
I would suspect that some of the things he is also consuming is affecting his allergies. I would not be surprised if he's drinking a lot of milk or something of that nature that now is exacerbating that pollen allergy that he was talking about.
Well, and so perhaps he could, even while he's taking some of the supplements that we recommended, maybe try to opt for maybe 3-4 weeks to rotate into the use of perhaps rice milk, as an option to pull the dairy off the shelf for a little while.
What's difficult, though, with a lot of these people is that they're consuming a lot of the same foods on a day-to-day basis, repetitive eating. So when we make that decision to take something away from someone, they often can actually feel worse initially and then suspect that, this isn't really helping me.
Right.
What we don't want people to do is take away a problematic food and then get like what we call a quick fix.
And get discouraged.
Right, get discouraged. And it's actually called masking, where they'll get a little small amount of something and then feel better. Within a few days, they start feeling lousy again. So it's really important for these people to stay away, get through this elimination phase of approximately 2 to 3 weeks. They'll feel, not too good.
Right. Let's go to the calls here. Let's get to Wayne in Brockton. Welcome to 96.9 Boston Talk Show and the Natural Health Show.
Evening, everyone. How are you?
Terrific. How are you?
Good, thanks. I'm an entertainer, and I rely on my voice a lot. And it seems at this time of the year, I don't smoke or anything like that. It gets a little, like my throat, just a little sore. After I would do an hour show or something, just like my voice is tired. And I'm just wondering if this could be allergy related because it's kind of intermittent. And
Michelle?
More than likely, you have some sort of irritant going on. So, have you had any allergy testing done in the past?
No, not in about 15 years.
Do you know if there's any known allergies from your parents?
Not really sure.
Okay. So our recommendation might be to, consult your physician and see if he can give you a good workup of both inhalants, that we were talking about, as well as foods. I imagine once we get these identified and get you on the right treatment plan, that scratchiness will go away. And also, you need to be keep yourself hydrated, which is
right.
Important for you.
Do you know one thing that I'd like to add here too, that he specifically mentioned this time of year. I believe, Wayne, you said this time of year in particular. My sense is that about this time of year, it seems like the ACs have been on for the 3 weeks or 2 weeks, and to my way of thinking, it seems like after 30 years of doing this, 30 years, I agree with Wayne. This time of year is a mold season because these AC systems are just cranking, and they're just filled with mold. So we're basically breathing, and he said he's an entertainer. I'm guessing you're in places that are basically air-conditioned at night, probably very much air-conditioned at night.
Actually, I don't. I graduated from drunk adults, and now I do children and seniors.
Oh, all right. Well, here you go. You certainly have a lot of strong AC influence in those environments as well. But I really think that the AC and mold connection is one that you want to pay close attention to. And again, I always urge folks that hear a broadcast like this and hear great information from these gals to sit down and have a powwow with your family doctor and to talk about the possibility of maybe getting in there and getting a good look at your inhalant allergies, your food allergies, and to remember that there's an awful lot of empowerment that comes from knowing what the problem is so that you can simply remove it. It's what I call addition through subtraction,
Could that also be a simple $2 changing my air conditioning filter also?
Well, it's a very intelligent suggestion on your part. I would not hesitate to do that very thing first. It's always aspirin before brain surgery.
Right.
Start off simple.
Clean up
Great
your
information. Thanks for your time, Mark.
Terrific. Thank you for calling. All right,
And Mark, we also have at our laboratory, when we do mold testing on patients,
Yep.
we send with positive test results a mold elimination plan, which defines each of the molds they've been tested for, where it can be found in their environment, how to clean up their environment. So we offer a lot of good information for people because it's overwhelming. Mold is everywhere.
Sure, it is everywhere, and it seems like there are more and more folks being troubled by mold than ever before as well. All right, so about that time for a little break in the action here, and again, we've been chatting with two representatives from Allergy Medical Laboratories down in Rockland Way, and Michelle Clark, Veronica Kent. Great to have them on board here. So prepare your questions regarding natural health issues that are directly related to food allergies and some of the allergenic complaints that you might be experiencing. Perhaps indeed those aches and pains and troubles are directly correlated. So we'll look forward to your calls in Boston and New England, 617-822-1969. Verizon Wireless uses free call pound 969. We're going to pay a few light bills. I'll be right back.
Friend us on Facebook. Link up at 969bostontalks.com.
Do you own or manage a natural health, fitness, day spa, or go green business? Perhaps you have a unique restaurant that offers healthy entrees, heart-smart seafood, vegetarian or lighter fare options. I invite you to share your vision and deliver your message directly to health-conscious New Englanders by becoming a sponsor of the Natural Health Show, New England's #1 health radio show. The Natural Health Show is now welcoming potential sponsors to join our natural health family by offering a number of creative and flexible sponsorship packages. For information on how to become a sponsor of the Natural Health Show, simply call Candida at 781-834-2728. That's 781-834-2728. Be a part of New England's natural health revolution. Join our Natural Health Show family today.
When most people hear the word allergies, they think only of hay fever-like symptoms associated with airborne pollen, dust, and mold. But did you know that many experts estimate that between 60 and 80 million of us suffer from immune-related food allergies without even knowing it? Furthermore, food allergies often contribute to serious health problems such as autism, irritable bowel syndrome, ADD, headaches, and chronic ear infections. Now, there's an effective way to identify and eliminate both your food allergies and the troubling symptoms that they aggravate. Allergy Medical Labs at foodallergy.com offers a full complement of clinical, environmental, and food allergy testing to help you get to the root of your allergy problems. Allergy also provides you with a comprehensive rotation diet, lifestyle booklet, and a wallet card to help you live food allergy-free and stress-free. Do you wonder if you or your loved ones are among the 60 to 80 million food allergy sufferers in America? If so, log on to Allergy Medical Labs, foodallergy.com. Talk to your doctor about ordering a food allergy test from Allergy Medical Labs today. Foodallergy.com. Make sure the food you're eating isn't what's depleting you.
Make plans now for a day with Joan Borisenko. Hear Joan Borisenko Sunday, August 7th at the John F. Kennedy Middle School in Waltham. Joan Borisenko is acknowledged as one of the world's greatest leaders and distinguished pioneer in integrative medicine and the mind-body connection. Joan Borisenko's groundbreaking book, Minding the Body, Mending the Mind, revolutionized our awareness of the mind-body connection a few years back. Now, Joan's new book, Fried, Why You Burn Out and How to Thrive, is here. Joan will share up-to-the-minute spiritual inspiration coming from her own process in a unique presentation, Reviving Your Life, with a book signing to follow. Register for Joan Borisenko on myhealthylivingmag.com. General admission is just $39. Program begins at 2 p.m. Call 781-834-2728 for tickets. That's 781-834-2728. This is your chance to see Joan Borisenko live Sunday, August 7th at the John F. Kennedy Middle School in Waltham. Register at myhealthylivingmag.com. Come learn how to revive your own life energy.
Now back to the Natural Health Show, sponsored by Good Health Natural Foods in Quincy and Hanover.
In Boston and New England, 617-822-1969. Verizon Wireless users free call pound 969. And we've got Jennifer on the line from Lynn. Welcome to 96.9 Boston Talks on the Natural Health Show.
Thank you very much. I have a question. About 10 years ago, I was in high school and I had the food allergy exam done. And they found yeast, milk, corn and wheat to be my allergies.
Okay.
And I was just wondering, do I need to do a new allergy exam since it's been 10 years? And also, I do want to eliminate those foods again. Should I do one at a time?
Great questions, Jennifer. Let's turn that over to the experts. Let's see what you guys have to say.
We recommend retesting 6 months to a year out just to make sure that you're not developing sensitivities to the new food you're having. And a lot of times the hope that that antibody level to the foods you responded to initially, like the corn and yeast, will go down into a normal value, and you'll feel better.
Yeah.
So how long ago was it you were first tested again, Jennifer?
10 years ago.
10 years ago, yeah. It sounds like it's about that time. The other question that I had was, there are many different types of food allergies. There's, like we brought up, IgE, IgG. Do you know the type that you had, the type of test that you had, Jennifer?
No, I have no clue.
Do you remember the procedure?
They had, they put it right underneath the skin, and then they had the different size circles and matched it up.
Okay, so Jennifer, you had what we call skin testing done, and what skin testing is measuring is they've put that certain allergen underneath your skin, and then they were able to measure how reactive you were to that particular allergen. In some cases, you were probably negative, in others, obviously, you were positive. What that is measuring is an immediate response. What we do at our laboratory through the blood test is we can measure both immediate as well as delayed, and based on I imagine you've had some sort of other types of reactions over the past 10 years, and you had mentioned yeast and corn, which obviously can be found in many, many things. So what I would recommend is probably getting some immediate testing done, IgE, as well as delayed testing for IgG. What we'll do then is provide you with an eating plan of the foods that you are able to eat, but also a list of the foods you cannot eat and where they can be found. So that will help you to read labels. And most importantly, if you do have an issue with yeast, we want that addressed initially, because that can be very problematic for many people. And yeast can be found in so many different things, such as salad dressings, fermented foods, things such as ketchup and mustard and relish that you may be having right now this time of year, so that you can be feeding yeast and not necessarily know it. Also, sugars, natural sugars, feed yeast. So my recommendation would, if you do suspect that you do have some sort of yeast issue, is we also test for overgrowth of yeast and possibly consider having that done at the laboratory as well. And that also can be run off of the same blood sample that you can do from the foods.
Okay.
Okay.
Does that help out?
Yep. Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for calling. All right, terrific. And we've got Charlie on the line from Natick. Welcome to 96.9 Boston Talks. You're in the Natural Health Show.
Yes, hi, guys.
How are you?
Pretty good, thank you.
Good.
Look, you partially answered the question. I was going to ask you if you test for food sensitivities as opposed to allergies, and I guess you do.
Yes, we do. We actually test for, as Veronica had mentioned, we have a large extended panel of 96 foods, which are the most common in the Western diet. And then we have a more extended panel of 184 foods. So depending on what you're consuming, I would imagine you might want to just start initially with the most common, the 96, and see how you respond on that particular test, and then get on this eating program that we recommend. We also have nutritionists available for you as a free service. So once you get your result and eating plan, our nutritionists then can consult with you with any questions you might have regarding allergies, sensitivities, whatever it might be.
Actually, I was tested at a different lab about 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay.
It was a laboratory in Florida.
Sure.
And it was over 100 foods. Mm-hmm. And they ran their scale from 1 to 4. I don't know how you range your sensitivity markers. Is it a greater range than that, or?
We have, for the IgG food testing, the test scale is from classes from 0, no response, up to 3 being the most severe.
3. So when I had it done, I was 1 to 4, and the highest of anything was 2. So it seemed that it was not a high amount, but maybe, maybe it is.
Well, Charlie, the greatest thing about our lab is we're going to give you a quantitative value with in that test result, so you'll know, are you a high class 2, almost on the border of becoming a class 3, or is that a very low sensitivity, almost, like a class 1? So you know exactly where you fall within the different sensitivities that you're having.
In the reaction that you had as far as these class 2s, we would consider that like a moderate sensitivity. Yet you need to be aware that if you did start consuming those particular foods that you were a class 2 at, for example, they could become elevated more. So they could have become a class 3 or a class 4 with this other laboratory over a period of time. So that's the most important thing about having food sensitivity testing done, is that you do need to be compliant and remove those foods from your diet in the hopes of that antibody level or that class 2 to come down to a normal value, like Veronica said, maybe class 0. That's what we'd like to see.
And we found with some patients over the years, it's really amazing to us that some people, their higher sensitivities, their higher scoring foods don't cause them as many problems as those low-level foods can cause them. Each person's immune system is so different.
So unique, yep.
I was going to say, excuse me, my insurance didn't pay for it. I assume it doesn't pay for yours either. Is that true?
Well, you're welcome to send with your blood sample a copy of your insurance card, and we'd be more than happy to see if you have coverage.
Yeah, I know it. I'm sure I don't. So I was going to ask you what it would cost for the testing of 96 foods.
Well, that would have to go through your physician, because we do need to get that order through the doctor. So we would recommend that you speak to your doctor. And if you don't have one currently, you could always email us at foodallergy.com, and we'd be more than happy to give you some referrals, and you could go through them specifically to get the testing and pricing done.
Yeah, but I'm saying that it's not going to pay for it. I just want to get an idea of what the cost is.
Well, depending if you'd like the eating plan or not, the cost for the 96 food panel without our eating program is $85, and with the eating plan, it's $129.
$129.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And then if you get the larger panel of 184 foods without the eating plan, it's $160, and with the customized eating plan, it's $200. But remember, you're allowed to call in.
Remarkable investment. Great investment. Yeah. Great information.
Well, okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Charlie. Thanks for calling. Appreciate your call. You know, there's so many folks that I think are just so in need of this kind of service. And I think that, again, I can't urge people enough. Sit down and have a powwow with your physician and just talk from the perspective of prevention, folks. It's all about prevention. And when you don't know what's getting you and what's really causing this, that, or the other thing on an ongoing day-to-day basis, it just it's going to really make such an incredible difference in your life to find out the answers and to get to the bottom of what's causing a lot of these problems. Let's go to Karen on the line from Groton. Welcome to 96.9 Boston Talks here on the Natural Health Show. Karen, are you there? Hello, Karen. Maybe she's not there. Okay. We'll try to get to her in a minute. But, you know, one of the things, Michelle, that I wanted to talk about is folks go to restaurants all the time. And, of course, weekends, it seems like after folks work hard, you know, Monday through Friday, they go out with a family on a Friday night or a Saturday night, and they enjoy restaurant dining. How does the food allergy issue sort of stack up on a weekend? Is it easier, do you think, for folks to control their food allergies when they're taking care of their own cooking at home, as opposed to, you know, not knowing if something is going to have X, Y, or Z in it as an ingredient? In other words, you could be ordering something at a restaurant that looks like nothing more than chicken, but when you see that it's been marinated with you know, some kind of wine that you may be allergic to because of a mold sensitivity or whatnot, that's all bets are off, are they not?
Absolutely. And we also have to think about cross-contamination, too,
right,
as far as how these foods are being prepared. So it is more difficult, obviously, if people are out in restaurants and they're unaware as far as food preparation. So our recommendation, if people are going to go out and, you know, go to a restaurant, one piece of advice, number one, would be to contact the restaurateur prior to even going to let them know that your particular child or person does have an allergy to a certain type of food. Can they then help these people out with regard to making something else for them, giving them substitutions, and letting them know that there is an allergy patron in the restaurant. I know in Massachusetts they've been really, really aggressive with the restaurants.
All right, we've got Karen back on the line. Karen, welcome to 96.9 Boston Talk Show and the Natural Health Show. Sorry about our glitch there, but welcome in.
Hey, I think that was me, but thanks so much for taking my call.
Pleasure.
I manage I would say a fine dining restaurant, and we have implied such a tremendous amount of information to our staff and in our training with allergies, and it's almost gotten to a point that my chef wants to pull his hair out.
I'll bet, yeah.
That we take it so darn seriously.
Well, that's great.
And but for me, it's very hard when people come to us at the end of the meal when we have implemented on our menu that if you have an allergy, please inform your server.
Absolutely.
And at the end of the meal, they tell us,
oh boy,
oh shoot, I have a soy or a nut allergy.
Yeah, that's
and and I cringe.
Yep.
Some of these, people have to be their own advocate. And in Massachusetts, we've done so much. We're the only state that has passed a law that actually, enforces that restaurants do train their staff to be educated about food allergy, which it sounds like you're doing, definitely.
Absolutely. All of our managers have been trained, and we're certified. And Ming Tsai, God love them.
Right, exactly.
Well, that's great. Hats off to the great work you're doing. We appreciate that. And actually, we have to probably move along here, unfortunately, because the hour has flown past us here. And it's been a great hour per usual. Anytime we have you gals on, it's always superb. It's just great stuff. So we'd like to thank Veronica Kent, Michelle Clark, food allergy experts from Allertest Medical Labs. Why don't you give the contact info once more, girls?
1-800-225-5404 is our phone number. Also, our website is www.foodallergy.com, and we're in Rockland, Massachusetts, Allertest Medical Laboratory.
Thank you so much.
And can I just say, Mark, for the amount of money we spend each week on groceries, why not find out what foods are, harmful or not to you?
No question about it. Thank you guys for coming in.
Thanks, Mark.
Great to have you. Love to have you back soon. Thanks also to our producer, Mike Roberts, does a great job. Thanks to intern extraordinaire Alex Todorovic, of course. We wouldn't be able to do this show without him. And, of course, podcast meister Adam Ing for all the great work that he does. Folks interested in catching up on any of these shows, you can go to our website at www.maxhealing, just one word, maxhealing.com. And we got a complete archive there of all my Fox 25 Living Well segments and all the great shows we've done here on 96.9 as well. So feel free to get to that website, maxhealing.com. And until next, don't forget to Woody and Abby coming right up on Right Turn Radio, New England's #1 addiction program. Great program. So until next Sunday, this is Mark Mincola reminding you all, please be wise, be aware, be well, make it a healthy week. Good night.